All right. Everyone enjoy yesterday? It was pretty fantastic. My name is Sheen Corey. I am the Vice President of HPE OpsRamp Global Sales and Services. Very excited to be here with Michael Hahn from EchoStar.
Good morning, everybody.
So as you can imagine, we're thrilled to be here at Discover, and we thank all of you for your support and your time. And on behalf of OpsRamp, we look forward to a journey with you as you get to know our technology more deeply. So again, thank you so much for being here at Discover. EchoStar is a global leader in satellite communication technology. And when we take a step back for this session, Michael's going to walk you through his team's investigation, planning, and strategy to evaluate OpsRamp AIOps hybrid observability solution. And really, Michael, how you took it from your operations from very reactive to very proactive and predictive. So with that said, I'm very excited to introduce Michael. He is the global head of infrastructure for EchoStar. And to get us started here, why don't you walk us a little bit through who is EchoStar and who are their customers?
So EchoStar is a global communication company. Over the last year, we've re-merged with our sister company, Dish Networks. We are Hughes Networks, so we're satellite communications, internet communications. We have signage for a lot of gas stations, restaurants, and other stuff, and we have Dish TV, Boost Mobile. We're all over the spectrum on all of the communications that we enable globally.
And Michael, when you think about the global infrastructure that has to support that business, can you give us some insights into your customer? Obviously it's the person at the end of the mouse or at the end of with a remote control in their hand, but also you have internal customers.
Yep.
Would love to get some insights into that.
So our end customers are everything from small businesses to large businesses for networking, communications, satellite. We do a lot with the government. We're starting to do a lot with aircraft manufacturers and their antennas, stuff to that effect. So we're vast communication capabilities and engineering company. We also do manufacturing. So with that, we do a lot of our networking, our communication internally really goes to supporting the manufacturing process, supporting the end user systems that we have across the globe. We're international on all continents. We have satellite uplinks, we have systems in POPs globally, so we're all over the place. And just like every other big communication company, we utilize every cloud that exists, especially at least the big cloud. So we're all over the place in the cloud and on-prem.
That's fantastic, and it's impressive to think how much infrastructure you're managing and supporting. When you break that down and you take a look and step back and look at your ecosystem, can you break down on-prem versus cloud and kind of where you're at with cloud native and get into the technology a little bit?
Yeah, so I'll start off with a simple area as our on-prem. We virtualize 99% of our stuff like everybody else does nowadays. We're a typical Windows shop. We also have a lot of Linux and Unix. We have, I think, like 7 or 8 vCenters in the US. We have thousands of machines in different areas of the US. We support all of that with an agent installed on the servers, SNMP for all of the, or SMTP for all of the networking and security devices. And then we have the cloud. We've been in the cloud for a long time. We do our backups to cloud, so we have native cloud stuff for our backup storage. Then we were using cloud as a PaaS for a long time, where we'd stand up, move virtual machines into the cloud, or would build virtual machines in the cloud, and we'd manage them that way. But recently, we've been actually building a lot of cloud native applications as well. And so we are responsible for all of that, whether it be customer facing systems or just internal accounting systems. We manage and support all of them.
That's awesome. So if we go back 2.5 years ago, is when I first met Michael. Time flies. Can you take this group here, through the insights and the challenges you were facing with observability that led you to initiate, an investigation of what's in the market?
So years ago, we were a OpenView, SiteScope, NNMI shop, and we had the entire suite, LoadRunner, APM, and I had zero visibility to any one system. We had alerts going for some critical systems, but we didn't have visibility. And we were becoming very hindered by not being able to look at, see, and understand our environment as a whole. So we started moving off of the legacy style of monitoring, and which was just monitoring and alerting. I hate to say it, but we were using Ping as our monitor for a lot of systems, and I don't think Ping is a monitoring tool. So we started evaluating other solutions, and my main focus was I need observability, I need to be able to see everything in one place.
Yeah, and as a vendor, looking into your process, we felt the competition. It was a little bit intense, right? Can you walk us through, it's 2.5 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. Who were the competitors in the ecosystem that you evaluated? And can you give us any thoughts on, HPE, OpsRamp, comparing to those different solutions?
So we took a full year to evaluate every vendor that was out there. I didn't have a timeline that I had to make, so I was like, okay, let's look at who does Gartner say we should look at, who does every other knowledge person say we should look at, and we looked at every single one of them. We went from like 36 vendors altogether down to like 6, and then we started doing some proof of concepts, and we ended up going down to 3 and really driving down to the final selection at the end, which became OpsRamp pre-HPE acquisition. Yeah. So there was a lot at stake because of the fact that it was a relatively new company, didn't have a very big backing, but the solution was just so much better than every other package I was looking at. The visibility, the transparency, the AI for AI ops really was enabled, where we actually were able to prove out prior to actually go live that it would actually mitigate the false alerts, it would actually correlate different issues, and we could actually integrate it into our ServiceNow environment, into our xMatters environment. We can pull in other applications like Splunk to have that all correlated as well. So we really focused on that whole solution.
Yeah, no, it was a great journey. Your team was fantastic to work with, and we're now kind of implemented, and you think about that journey and you think about where you're going. I think there's 2 parts to this question. What observability data are you ingesting into the platform today to help you identify potential issues? And the second part of that is, knowing a little bit about, how we've evolved as a product, and you and I have had some great conversations about this. Where do you see utilization of some of the new functionality in our platform playing a role in your overall observability strategy?
So we actually went to a agent-based solution. So I put agents on every server I have. I use SNMTP for security and networking, and we use the cloud native, and that gives us a single place to see everything. for all of my on-prem systems where I'm managing the physical hardware, I get to pull the disk I/O capabilities, and I have the ability to see issues before it actually causes an outage, because I have an agent on the system that actually can pull and trigger an alert early on in the process of, hey, this is starting to become a outside of the norm for this server. I'm looking at a lot of stuff like ransomware is a big issue that we look at, and it's not my only tool for ransomware stuff, but I'm monitoring CPU and disk memory, or disk and CPU I/O, so I could actually say, okay, is something weird going on here, well before it actually hits everything else. And it takes a little while for an encryption to actually hit.
Sure.
So looking at that and being able to trigger, hey, you're hitting 100% CPU and 100% I/O, you know something's wrong, and you can actually alert on that pretty fast. So we're all over that stuff. We're looking at CPU. We've had some servers in a remote site in Colombia that we're pulling temperature on that server, so we know when their air conditioning system goes out, and it does on a regular basis. So we see, and we can call their technician and have them go out and open the door and open fence. So we're pulling everything in.
That's fantastic. So, sitting on the other side of the table at the end of the 1 year process we went through, we were so excited when we got the phone call letting us know, OpsRamp had been selected. But let me tell you, this is serious. Michael wasn't looking at me, but it was on the phone. He said, Sheen, please do not let us down. So I said, Michael, you're 6'5", 250 pounds plus. I'm not letting you down. So, when we look back and we go back to that time, and, I want to hear how our teams work together to successfully get to this point. How is OpsRamp, HPE OpsRamp delivering for you in terms of uptime, performance, meeting the metrics that you set out as the criteria for this partnership?
Well, I think the fact that I didn't break your legs says a lot. The relationship has been phenomenal. The team has been awesome. Our implementation was faster than I expected. We were, from the day we started till the day we actually went live with not just our core systems, but actually finished all of our servers, all of our networks, was 3 months. That was unprecedented. When we rolled out our latest upgrade, it took us 6 months to do an upgrade of the previous systems that didn't give me half the information I needed. So, it was really good. The team was phenomenal, and they still are. And now that HPE is involved, I'm actually shocked and ecstatic about how they've ingested or infused support to the teams, because there's stuff that's coming out that I'm extremely excited about, that I want to get in place, that is just now being released, and that wouldn't have been possible, but it met all my needs before, so I was happy. But now I'm even happier, so it's been an awesome
Thank you. Thank you very much. A couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up here. It's obvious AIOps, Gen AI is on everyone's mind. Can you just share, from a high level, some thoughts, insights to EchoStar's strategy, your strategy as the head of infrastructure, as it relates to adopting AI workloads and bringing, another layer of infrastructure and technology into your environment?
Yeah, so there's a lot of AI that we're working on internally that I can't talk about, but I can talk about how we're planning to, how do we support, how do we monitor, how do we evaluate our AI environment that we're building, and what does that look like? And we're using OpsRamp as one of our foundations. So we're expanding with all of the NVIDIA capabilities and integration that HPE brings to the table, and OpsRamp being the key tool for that has really been ahead of the curve. And okay, we're looking at this. How do we know that it's actually working? So we're building on top of that, and in the future, as we start rolling all these things out, OpsRamp will be our main tool for supporting the AI ops capabilities, as well as we're using the OpsRamp as our internal IT AI ops engine across the board. I pull in integrations from all of my other ancillary systems, and OpsRamp does our AI to correlate to enable us to actually ask intelligent questions and get answers out of stuff. And that's where I'm like really excited about Copilot. It's going to be a huge thing for us of, okay, I want to understand this. Ask a simple question, see what what comes out. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and thank you for sharing. You know, last question, you know, it's always exciting to me, you know, we're all in high tech and we deal with bits and bytes on a regular basis, but you know, when you really can visualize a company as advanced as EchoStar, all your subsidiaries and companies, it really puts things in perspective, right? So I'd love just to end, you know, getting some insights from you on what technology and business innovations do you see on the forefront here for EchoStar as a company?
So for EchoStar as a company, we're really focused right now on merging with Dish. So we haven't finished merging. We're merged on paper, so we basically a little more than doubled our size. We have, on the EchoStar Hughes network side, we have a lot of satellite systems and a lot of servers and uplinks and stuff to that effect. But with Dish, we have additional satellite uplinks. We have systems in every POP across the US. We have systems in POPs across Europe and India. We provide the services for OneWeb and some other global stuff. So we're working on our plan on how we're actually building a formulation to expand all of that stuff, and how do we actually merge and bring us as a company to one platform, and OpsRamp is one of our main platforms for doing that. That's
fantastic. So Michael, let's put our hands together. You know, this is a big thank you to Michael for joining us today, and you've been a fantastic partner. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
And we'll be over here. The OpsRamp booth is just to the right of me. We'll be hanging out for a few minutes and answering any questions. So please visit us and enjoy the rest of the show, everyone.